Hello, this is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about a little bit about Trump's arraignment yesterday, and I guess some of the rumors for their legal strategies, which sound kind of interesting. I wonder how things pan out, who will pan out. I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings about all this stuff, but I have no predictions on how this is going to go. I don't think I'm particularly good at predicting that kind of stuff. So, I don't know. It could be that they could eventually throw this stuff out, but there's rumors that they're gonna try to delay it until after the election. So if that's the case, that's pretty wild, really wild. And so much would be banking on the election if that were the case. So really fascinating stuff. Also, an incident happened at the White House the other day, which we didn't talk about, which has been in the news a lot. But there was a trans woman who's at the White House who decided to flash their fake boobs, covered their fake nipples, I suppose, and for a picture because they were posing with women who had double mastectomies and they were showing off their scars, which is really something to think about. And so the White House did end up condemning them, and them pretending like this isn't the sort of environment they built is really rich. So I just want to, I don't know, put things in perspective and talk about how basically this is their problem. This is their America. So Biden ran talking about how he would restore decency and honor to the White House and in the office, and that's just not what's been going on and what's happening. And they we'll get to that, but also there's a woman on TikTok. Her video went pretty viral. She was talking about how she wants to find a masculine man, but she's very liberal, and all the men that she finds who are like, I guess, old fashioned and chivalrous are conservative. So I thought it was an interesting video, so I wanted to share and talk about it with you guys today. Before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to, of course, go to the website, check out content of the website, articles, etc. Put in your email address. Make sure you're following me across different social media platforms. I'm on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Rumble. So make sure that you're following across those places. And again, also putting in your email at the website, because if something happens and maybe you usually watch me on YouTube and YouTube has a suspension or something and you don't know what's going on. So just make sure that you are up to date across the different stuff. Sometimes I might show a little more love to one account than another. It's a lot for one person to do, but hopefully, we will continue building Black Tea News, so it's not like a one person operation, but you're here helping me build the dream. So on that note, if you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Cost a stream, run my website, all the good stuff. So if you can support in the way, thank you very much. For watching on Facebook, you can send stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you can send like super chats and stickers and all that stuff, but you can go to the website and give directly. You guys can also check out different merchandise. I saw someone on the website. I should have a picture, but I will have a picture tomorrow. But I have a shirt that has the American flag and it says, "This is my pride flag." And so I see people getting that on the website. So that's available on the website to buy. And there's other merch as well. Like I have my black tea mug that's right in front of me. So that's available at the website if you guys want to get stuff like that. I do also have my book, of course, Guys Blatantly Gets Abortion, that's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble as well. So you guys can check that out. And last night at 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock, sorry for the confusion, I had an interview with Deborah Tilden, who is the co-founder of Smart Women's Healthcare. So she shared her story about what led her to have an abortion and the sort of issues that she had to figure out that she even had and work out through life later. And she talked about a lot of resources for women. So it's a really good interview. We talked for almost 2 hours. It was like an hour and 40 minutes long. So if you would like, please check out that interview. A lot of people said it was a good conversation. I thank you guys for who watched it live and watched it back and stuff. But she does great work, so go ahead and support her. A lot of people feel that pro-life people are too tunnel vision on the baby, and they are the ones being killed. So it is like good to focus on trying to stop that human rights violation. But a lot of women are not being told the truth about what happens in those places or what could happen to them, and the reality of what happens to their baby. And when they do suffer, and I'm not saying all women go through, this is anecdotal, but I've never heard a woman say that they didn't regret their abortion, that I believed it, but through like different kind of tells. But let's sake of the argument say that not all women will regret or have that same kind of pain, but there's a lot of women who are suffering in silence and need some kind of help and support. And it's people who do issue and talk about some kind of regret, a lot of times they are talked down to, they're disregarded, they're shamed for opening up their experiences, because so many people want to protect the action of actual abortion that they obviously toss women under the bus. So those women do need healing and support and to be able to share their stories. So it was a great interview. So go ahead and check it out if you missed it. Thank you very much. Beacon of Hope, you were there in the comments, and I said it was. She said they said it was a very good interview. So thank you very much for watching and supporting, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch that. We'll get some other content from other pro life people. I mentioned my. Well, I got to talk to her first, but I'll have some other guests coming as well. So just keep your ears open. Okay, so I do have a funny to start off with. And this is from G Prime 85. I don't remember if I shared this or not, but he reshared this because of this video that I'm going to share. I don't know if he saw the video, but there's an article about this video, and I will show you guys a video. So there's this, hunky looking guy, patriotic guy. He said, "I know what you're mad at me, darling. I just love this country so much. In fact, I want to love the country all night long." And so turns out it's like a, multi-haired colored weirdo who is having this fantasy about this patriotic guy. And so I don't remember what originally prompted that specifically, though I could think of multiple reasons. But the reason why he reposted it, and if you don't follow G Prime 85, he came out with this great book that's like a fairy tale, like a modern fairy tale horror thing about Joe Biden. And so my sister bought it for herself for Christmas like 2 years ago. And I think it was 2 years. Well, I guess it was election year. So yeah, I guess 2 Christmases ago. So basically it's a story about all these people who are sacrificing their children to this big monster, and it's Joe Biden. And and there's other sort of themes about how we overall are sacrificing our children for our own comfort or our own ideology. And I think it's really good. Besides like it being so on the nose about being anti Biden, but it speaks to a lot of different, um political overtones of today. But anyway, he wrote that book, and he did that art. If you ever saw the comic of, and I'll remind you guys what his style looks like, but he also has a comic of Joe Biden touching a black girl, and who was a Republican, and he like steals the blackness from her. And he also did one where there was like a girl who like bathed in Coca-Cola to be less white or something. I think she became baptized in Coca-Cola and became black or something. So he is interesting illustrations. But he also well, we did a commission piece for my sister for her birthday from him, and she loved it so much because he's her favorite artist. But Anyway, I do have an interview with him as well, with George Alexopoulos. His Twitter name is gprime85, but his name is George Alexopoulos. If you go back into my file somewhere, you'll find an interview with him. So he's a pretty interesting guy. But this video that I shall show you, this woman on TikTok was lamenting because she wants to find a masculine man, but they're all conservative and she doesn't want to be with a conservative. So let's look at her issues.
Realizations I recently had.
So let me play it back a little bit.
Do you want to know one of the saddest realizations I recently had? Was that as a liberal woman, it is really hard to find a man who is willing to play the more traditional masculine role in the relationship in today's day and age, who is not a conservative. A man who wants to pay on the first date, who wants to open your door, who has that want and desire to take care of you and to provide, who is not a conservative. And obviously, as a liberal woman, I do want to be respected for my independence. And I do want to have my own autonomy in the relationship and not be confined or conform to the traditional female homemaker, childbearing role. And most of the men that I've dated who do have that more natural provider masculinity about them are normally conservative. So I don't really know what to do because I don't want to compromise my morals and values just to find a man. But am I asking to have my cake and eat it too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So first of all, if you want things to be super equal or whatever, you know, you go out on a date, why wouldn't you pay for your food and he pays for your food? Or the person who asks the person out is the one who pays, is how some people will do it. Most men that I know in my circle, though, if they asked a girl out, that they're gonna pay for the meal, and they expect to pay for it. And the only time that you would pay for it is if you don't really want it to be a date. So if like my different sisters and stuff going out on the date and they're just, or not a date but with guy friends, and they wanted it to be known that it was not a date, so they paid for their own or whatever, if they needed that line to be made clear. So that's your world, babe. That's your world. Like if you want equality on all fronts there, that's what that you know y- that's your world. That's what you built. But as far as like the other sort of, I mean, she said she wants her full autonomy in the relationship. I don't know what all she means by that. But my mom is a very traditional housewife, stay at home, take care of the kids, and she hates to cook really, but she's a really good cook and has cooked throughout all the years until we were old enough to start making some of her recipes. And then if we learned how to do something, then it was like retired. Like she made chicken fettuccine like a few times, and my sister learned how to do it, and it's like retired. She like moved out, so my mom will still make it sometimes. But but she doesn't love to do it, but she's really good at it. Oh my gosh, her fried chicken, her lasagna. Um, you know, she there's things that she's really, really good at doing. But you know, but even though, like, I would say that even though she's subservient, I guess you could say, to my dad, she still has a lot of autonomy in the relationship. She wouldn't see herself as someone who doesn't have autonomy, and I don't think my no one would say that. None of my sisters, I think, would say that. My dad wouldn't say that. We wouldn't think of it, put it that way. And if she needs something, she will ask and she can get it. I- it's a give and a take. One of my favorite lines from a TV show about relationships is from an anime called Full Metal Alchemist. And at the end of the series, spoiler alert, the main two, character gets, with his love interest, who's a childhood friend, but he's about to go somewhere. And so he just kind of gets up the nerve to, well, it's Full Metal Alchemist, that the philosophy with the alchemy is equivalent exchange. Like you can make something with something, but you have to have like equal amounts or something. But I'm kind of butchering it. But anyway, he works up the courage to propose to her. And so he points at her and he's like, equivalent exchange. I'll give up half of my life and you give up half of yours. And she's just like, "Ugh," like he's kind of such a nerd. And she's just like, equivalent exchange. She's like, how about I'll give up my whole life? And then she realizes what she said. She's kind of starts blushing. He's like, oh, maybe not all of it, maybe like 70% or but anyway, they end up getting married. And so I like that line because it's like people want to say, I want to find my person, I want to find my partner, and I'll give my half. But the truth is, when you get together with someone, there's days when you have to give your 90, when you have to give your 70, when you have to give your all, because your partner's not always going to be with it all the time. So sometimes you really do have to, well, you do have to, you're a person and they're a person, and you come together to become this new being. Like, you know, um, the two halves come together to become whole. Like you are a whole individual sort of new being. So um, it's not something that you only commit just have to. Sometimes you have to give your all. So that the whole 50-50 things, like you're working out like some kind of math equation, if that's how you view your relationship, that's it's just not going to work that way. So you know, even like from that traditional which not everybody who has a traditional kind of mindset is like rooted in some kind of religion, but our society is very much impacted by Judeo sort of Christian traditional sort of values. And so even from that perspective, yes, the Bible, tells, women, to uh serve their husbands, but also tells the husbands to love their wives and and serve them in a way that Christ was similar, serve the church, and Christ was willing to give his life. So women might, give themselves to their husband, but the husbands have to give their all to their families, to their wives, to their children, be willing, like I said, to put their life on the line if necessary. They're the ones, like, first line of defense, the ones who go down with the ship. That's not equality. Like people say they want equality, but they want the man to be the one to take the brunt of the fire and everything that goes along with being, out front. So yeah, yes, you want to take your cake and to eat it too, whatever the expression is. So if you want to um live your life and put your career first, those are things you can work out. But a lot, when men are ready to settle down and they want kids to not be raised by the state or something, you know they're gonna want a mom at home. And not all, traditional sort of not all conservative families have both parents at home, like a lot of conservative parents work, but a lot of conservative parents will send their kids to school and stuff, but I don't even know what all she what all she means or what she's thinking about as far as what she wants in wants in a man. But if this is just really down to going out on dates and then paying for stuff, yeah, that's something that you a world that you're living in. That's the world that you've made with your feminism and equality. Like, do you want equality or did you just want to be treated better? And I think the answer is really women just want to be treated better, and I think that's fine. But um, you got to give and you got to take. You got to give and you got to take. So if you want him to pay all the time and to do the the chivalrous sort of stuff and be the one to take the slings and the arrows and the bullets and all that stuff for you and for your family, because women find that to be attractive. When you have a man who is a provider, who is a protector and acts like it, and you feel confident in that. There's a lot of women who are very, you know I don't know, domineering, but they want a man to also kind of do the same. A lot of women aren't attracted to betas who are super passive. I know that, and I'm don't see myself as a very, I'm domineering kind of lady. I don't know if people view that on the outside. I don't feel like, at least I would certainly don't feel like I would be that way in a relationship. But um I couldn't be attracted to a beta, you know? Something I find really attractive is just ambition, just in general. So, um, yeah, that's her world. She made it. I ain't got much more to say. I ain't got much more to say than that. But you're gonna have to if your political views and so much of whatever is instilled within your values does creep out that way. Like if you're like, oh, I want my, for example, she's like a liberal. I assume she's pro-choice. Um, so if you want a man who would be like, oh yeah, I totally respect your bodily autonomy, that as far as like having an abortion, that would be them saying, yeah, well, I think it's okay for you to kill our kid. Is that what you really want in a partner? Someone who's not going to stand up for your child? I don't think so. So yeah, you're gonna have to soul search yourself and see why you are not compatible with the sort of thing that you're attracted to. Because if you're attracted to these kind of men, that these political views don't come from nowhere. They're instilled in some kind of value. So the kind of men that she wants and probably wants to build a long-term relationship and to be the father of her children and to raise her kids, they have these political views and these different morals that she on the surface level seems to detest, but on the inward side of her knows is what she needs. So she needs to have some kind of revelation within herself and ask herself, why do these men that I actually really want not, why are not they not compatible with life building with me? Because that is a her issue. That is a her issue. Anyway, we're gonna move on. Someone said you appear to be a sassy, take no golf kind of gal. I uh, I'm like the I don't know how sassy I am. I guess I seem pretty sassy online. I'm more like a in real life it's I have a lot of like digs and stuff. It's like a bit of a surgeon. If there's like a door or something, I will walk right through it. And anyway, enough about me. Enough about me. So Trump had his arraignment the other day, and so I've read some interesting things, interesting strategies about what his lawyers routes that his lawyers may take. Rumor has it, at least I was reading the Daily Wire and they're reporting on it that they could, even though this court is known for going pretty fast with stuff, they may try to delay, Trump's lawyers may try to delay everything until after the election. Now, if that is the case, if that is the case, that really makes the election do or die. And I think from a, I don't know, I think there's pros and cons from a political perspective, because obviously he's going to be able to talk about it the whole entire time throughout the election about him, being persecuted maliciously. He gets to paint himself as the martyr, and he's going to be able to fundraise. Like, he's, already raised, I think he already raised, millions off the other indictment. And I think from this reading, I think it was already 4 million from this one. If that's the case, that's, pretty great for him. So they'll continue to fundraise, they'll continue to, say that he's being maliciously persecuted, and Trump is always being maliciously persecuted. I think there are some issues with some of the things that he's done regarding to this indictment, if the things are true, because they still have to prove that it's true. And we may not have the answers to all those questions, especially if they delay it until after the election. And if he is president again, there's a lot on the line. If he does win, of course he could, you know, he he's not going anywhere. He's pretty secure and safe, and he could, I guess, pardon himself. So it's very interesting if he does wait. However, there's there's people who are so pro Trump and they're gonna vote for him anyway, but they feel so impassioned. And there's people who are ticked off, who are maybe like fading, who don't appreciate the fact that they know that if there was a Democrat in his situation, that they wouldn't go at him like this. Like we talked last week about how Trump was looking into Joe Biden and the Burisma whole like fire the prosecutor, you're not getting your money, and how Trump wanted Ukraine them to look into that, and then next thing you know, Trump is impeached. And then there's also right now, Chuck Grassley said there's recordings about an alleged bribe of $5 million for Biden, and 5 million, and for 5 million for Joe, 5 million for Hunter. And so we'll continue following that story as it continues to evolve and more information comes out. But they're mad at Trump because they're like, oh, he's going after a political opponent. That was like, come on, he basically got impeached for looking into Joe Biden. And there was this rhetoric of it's wrong to go after your political opponent. He's using his power to go after a political opponent. And Trump is obviously being indicted by his political opponent, his chief rival, someone who Joe Biden won, beat out, but there's this rematch coming up. So from that perspective, it's totally hypocritical. And you could say, well, Biden isn't the one who got the indictment together, whatever. Well, they're the ones who have to, like, they could squash it if they wanted to, or delay it, or whatever. Like, but that's not what they wanted. Now, if they're following the evidence, the special prosecutor, Smith is following it and is going wherever it goes. That's another thing. But Biden himself and Garland allowing this to become a big political circus, knowing how hypocritical they are, it's not good. So people know this, people sense this, and it makes them furious, and it makes them more impassioned to fight for Trump. Even people who look at the indictment and don't like what's going on, and they're like, if they do this to Trump, they will just do it to someone else. And so there's a lot of complicated feelings within this. But then there's also people who are just kind of sick of it, who are concerned about how this will play out in the general and have no confidence that he can win in a general election. And I'm frustrated because looking at the indictment, and if the things are true, I'm like, why put yourself in these positions? Again, they've always been going after him hard and malicious, I would say. But gosh, don't make it easy for him. Gosh, don't make it easy for him. So I'm frustrated, but I also do see the tipping point of what happens if this stands, what they'll just do next time. And if Trump isn't the nominee, like, so some people are like, oh, Trump should have went after them and got Hillary, and if he gets president, like, is he going to prosecute them or whatever? Or all other Republicans, if Biden does this, other Republicans who get in office are going to prosecute Joe Biden. It's just going to be a continuous cycle. I don't know if every Republican would have the guts or balls or whatever you want to say to do that. I think DeSantis would, though. If someone was going to play ball like that, out of anyone on the field, it might be DeSantis. Because Trump, I guess he might do it out of revenge, but also they just impeach him again, I guess. Really, if he was the president and they decided to prosecute Biden for the bribes and whatnot. So I'm not convinced, though, that there will end up having a rematch between Trump and Biden. I told you guys after the Fox News case and how they lost all that money, I'm like, I think a lot of people have made money off of Trump and him being in the game and want him to obviously be the nominee, but there's a lot of people who've lost a lot of money now, and I don't know if at the end of the day people will allow him to be the nominee. So I said that some weeks ago, and I said that when I was on another, like, doing an interview with another person, and like, oh, we'll have to come. it was kind of like the last kind of open thought that I had of the day, like on that interview. And I just don't know if it will be Trump versus Biden. And I'm not confident that Biden will be the nominee either, because well, he does have some contenders still going up against him, but Gavin Newsom is so talkative right now. He's like nonstop talking about DeSantis and trying to compare California to Florida, and he's doing this gimmick with announcing a new amendment to the Constitution for gun control, which obviously will not be popular, but will, get him money and some attention. And it's got to be some kind of bigger ploy, some bigger strategy. And I would think that he would know that he would not be popular enough right now to win the presidency. But some people are just so in their own head and in their own feelings that they, I don't know, they're just foolish, I guess. So maybe he would just go for it. So he was even on Fox News the other day, had an interview with Hannity, and even agreed with Hannity to have a debate between Ron DeSantis and have Hannity be the one who's moderating it. So one that would not, I don't think it would obviously be a lean toward DeSantis. I think I don't know how impartial Hannity would be with that. So it, and Newsom would have no, he has no reasonable expectation that Sean would be even-handed with the debate like that. So to agree to that with DeSantis, who could just shred him in a debate, I would think he's really, 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 really wants some attention. Really, really wants attention, especially from eyes that don't normally see him. So I think I I think there's things that perhaps we don't know, different rumblings that we are not aware of, maybe other people who are a little, I'm pretty plugged in. But there's people certainly more plugged than I am. But I think there's things that maybe we don't know or aren't aware of. And I think there's maybe a chance that Biden will not be the nominee. And I think that is a bigger possibility. And I had mentioned that if Kennedy's numbers are pretty good, and without him being pushed, other people will see Biden as being weak and going in. I think people feel that Biden could beat Trump. But if Trump is not the nominee, um, then people will feel that they'll need a stronger candidate. So I'm not convinced that we'll have this big rematch. If people have that in their heads, maybe we will, maybe we won't. Who knows? Um, who knows who would all pan out? But I think there's a lot of people waiting in the wings to make some moves. I think there's not a chance in heck that DeSantis and other people running for president right now didn't expect that there'd be all these other indictments. And maybe they thought that it would hurt Trump, or that he'd maybe drop out, or that he's not going to win the primary. I think he'll have a boost in the polls, and I think that will go back down, but he's still like pretty steady at like 50%. So if more people jump in, it's going to be very hard for DeSantis to kind of, I mean, he's in the 20s. Um so can he get up to 40 or something? I don't know. Especially if people stay in the race. I know the Koch brothers and stuff are pouring a lot of money into Iowa and stuff for the election, and they're just going to frame it as Trump can't win the general. And I think that's the best route for his rivals to go, to dig into this fear of Trump just being the nominee, and then that feeling that you had in 2020 when you watched it all, go to Biden. To relive that fear and that nightmare. So I think there's their best shot. And if I had to guess, I think that Trump's going to be the nominee. But it'll be interesting if they delay um, everything until next year, because I think the other indictment in New York, they're not, from the reporting that I heard, that wouldn't they would be really doing stuff until really late with that too. So maybe there's a chance that his lawyers could delay this. They'll also argue things like that the place was illegally searched. um to throw out, if they can throw out some of the testimonies from his lawyers, that would be really good for Trump, because they are like witnesses. And usually you have attorney client privileges, but because Trump like tricked them to kind of lie to the FBI with like criminal cover up, they were able to like bypass attorney client privileges. But if they can get that thrown out, it depends how much stuff they can get thrown out with their case. If they can, um, you know, he'll have a better shot. I just wish he had returned the files, to be frank, but we are where we are. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on before I talk about the Biden White House and what happened. I saw this TikTok today that was shared, and I've shared a video from this guy before and his son and replied and have it like on a YouTube short and stuff. But um, this is really disturbing to me, and I'll play it for you guys and then get to the commentary. But I've heard that this dad wanted to be a girl himself and couldn't be, so it kind of looks like he's passing this off to his son. I think I'm going to turn the volume down on it eventually because there's like copyrighted music in it, and I don't want to get like dinged. But it's really short, so maybe there won't be an issue. I'm gonna turn it down when it really starts. So I'll just walk you through it first. There's this little boy starting from like 4 years ago, and his dad allowing him to grow out his hair and to wear dresses and going to the gender clinic and all kinds of different stuff. So it's his son on this transition journey.
For let I wanted to make a video to thank my daddy for letting me be who I wanted to be.
Yeah, so wearing the outfits, hair, gender reveal, saying that he's a girl, um, new name reveal, and then at age 9 visiting the gender clinic. And so this was disturbing anyway, but when it got to this part right here, when his son is in the mirror with the makeup on, it made me think of my dad and how grateful that I am to have same parents. And the things I'm about to say, you don't have to have lived by them. I'm not saying that this is the right way to go or whatever, but my dad, my parents, both of them, they really, really wanted to protect our adolescence. Really wanted to protect our adolescence. Both of them came from big families. Um, there were 6 girls in my dad's family. And then he had 6 daughters, and some of the girls gave a lot of trouble, and some of them weren't exactly pious. We'll say we'll leave it at that. And my dad was very concerned every time a girl popped up, because he didn't know how he'd handle all these girls in particular. And so his first child was a girl, second child was a boy, and they kept trying to have more boys, and it didn't happen. They had another girl, and then they had me. They were so sure I was gonna be a boy. My brother just cried. My brother just cried. My dad cried too. Because they did they did they just wait till I came out, or like why were they so like taken aback? But anyway, then there was another girl, and then another girl, another girl, and so he was just praying to God, like, what am I gonna do? And so he just had to pray for wisdom on how to handle his 7 children. But he like I said, they wanted to protect our adolescence. So I know most babies get their ears pierced when they're like, well, they're babies, but they had different rules for when we'd be old enough to look at to have certain things. Like I don't think we could wear like nail polish until we were like 10 or something, and we couldn't, or 11 or something like that, and we couldn't get our ears pierced until we were like 11 or 12 or something. And you couldn't have a boyfriend until you were at least 16, and you couldn't wear makeup and maybe until around that time too. Now I start wearing makeup a bit earlier than that because we were doing music, traveling and doing music. So, and I didn't like makeup, and I still don't really care for too much today, though I do get lots of compliments on my red lip. But I spend like, and I guess maybe you guys can tell or not tell, but I spend like as little time as possible. It's just like foundation, do my eyes, like mascara a little bit, blush, poo poo, poo poo, and I can do my lips pretty fast. So, and that's it very quickly. Um, if it's a special occasion, I might ask my sister to do like different stuff. And I used to do a lot of like eyeliner and stuff. And one day my sister's like, "Oh, you good without it?" And I'm like, "Thank you. I'm not wasting my time with that right now." So but I started wearing makeup when we go to like sing or something, like at an important event. Or but the first time I really wore a lot of makeup was when we did CD photos. And I was like 12 in those photos. But I don't look 12 in the photos if you've seen them. I don't think I have like one ready to go to show you guys, but I do not look 12 in the photos. 12, 13, maybe 13. Maybe no, I think I was, or could I have been 14? We started working on music when I was anyway, I was a kid anyway. But my dad didn't want us to get into that stuff because he didn't want us to grow up too fast. And some stories that I hear from detransitioners who were women and went on to be men, or tried to transition in men and realize they made a mistake, is that um, they're really kind of intimidated um, by how people sexualize women. And they kind of wanted to hide from that and feel protected from that. And then some of them said that they still weren't protected, and they ended up being harassed or assaulted, or other things ended up happening. So I do think there needs to be conversations about how we what have we done to women from a sexualization standpoint that have turned women off to the point where they feel that it's safer to go and be a male. I think that needs to be also an important part of our conversations as we're discussing this as a whole. But he has a son wearing makeup to make him, I mean, makeup. I know there's a lot of kids who wear makeup and play in makeup and other kind of stuff. And I'm not out here trying to, demonize people for making different decisions. Like m- if you have little kids who wear fingernail polish, that I'm not prescribing some kind of policy. I'm just telling you why my parents raised us particular ways and had different set of rules. I'm not saying what they did was particularly the right thing to do, but there was a method to it, to just not have us grow up too fast, um, to enjoy our childhood, to enjoy our innocence. Um, so there wouldn't be people who shouldn't look at us as women while we were little girls, influencing us to do things that children have no business doing, you know? So this is a little boy who's aspiring to be a woman. This is a little boy. And it's just not appropriate anyway, but again, it just made me think of how grateful I am for my parents. And Father's Day is a Sunday, right? How much they wanted to protect us, and this child is not being protected. Maybe they feel like they're protecting their child's feelings and by affirming and letting them express themselves. Children don't children obviously aren't always right. Children aren't always right. Children don't always understand things. You know, you have to be the parent sometimes. And if and it looked like they had girls. So if their son or there were girls in the video, so if you're showing kind of attention to your girls or you have more girls or whatever, um you might have a child that wants to like get involved or do that kind of stuff, but that's not because they themselves are really a girl. They're just trying to emulate people who they love and who they're around. Like I told a story the other day, yesterday, about a father who's his son who's like 4 said, you know, "Dad, I want to be a girl." And he's like, "No, you don't." But the reason why he said that is because he wanted to go in his sister's rooms, and it was an all girls room. So this child has no idea what it's like to be a woman, will never know what it is like to be a woman. Um, there's different experiences that socially, I guess, that you can maybe have, especially if transitioning that young, going to gender clinic at 9. I'm sure they'll be on blockers if they're not already, and we'll get on hormones and all that other stuff. Once you start on this track, you know, with kids very young, if you leave them to their own devices, they'll usually grow out of it. But you're starting them on this track, it's very unlikely that they'll come off. Very unlikely that they'll come off. So maybe one day he'll be a aesthetically kind of convincing person who looks like a woman. Um, but he won't be a woman. He'll just be in dress up like he is right now. And maybe that makes you feel good, Dad. Maybe that makes you feel good. But not giving this child time to really experience their adolescence and who they are and figuring out himself. And you can't say you're giving him space to figure out himself, because you're directing him in a position of not being himself. That's what you're doing. So again, very grateful to my parents and this poor kid. This poor kid. But hey, at least Dad's getting views on TikTok, right? Anyway, more horror show stuff I guess I have to show you, because the White House had a pride event, and there was a lot of hoopla because they had a flag that was raised with the same height and stuff with the US flags. And so that's concerning and disrespectful to many people. But also there's a lot of ideology in this flag. There's a lot of you know, pride is a I mentioned the other day, like, people talk about what pride and stuff is. I'm like, it is about like who you like to bang, right? I mean, there is, and you can say it's about a bunch of different, it's about who we love. Like, there's anniversaries, there's Valentine's Day, there's Sweetest Day, and there's, you know, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all these times to experience and celebrate families and friends and people who you love. Um, a whole month to celebrate, um, you know, sodomy isn't like wasn't necessary. But now it looks to the point where it's not just about, you know, going to visit your loved ones in the hospital, but I mean, I don't know, people feel like they're being conquered here, right? So and I also talked about how someone got like Saturday, a teacher was showing a pride video and the kids got threatened with Saturday detention. But it's and in California, their parents are going to be in a position where if they don't affirm, that they could possibly lose custody. Like, those are things going on. There are parents who have lost custody of their children already for not affirming their child's gender identity. But it's getting worse. Getting far worse. So I'll show you an example of what I mean by getting worse. But back to the White House situation. So there was someone on social media who's a TikToker, but I guess who the heck isn't these days. I don't know how big their following is, but this person went to the White House and ended up taking off their top for a photo because there were people showing that their mastectomy scars. So the White House, but this person was a trans woman with fake boobs. So this just looks like a topless womanly form, at the White House. So the White House ended up, being upset about it or claim that they were upset about it and that it wasn't appropriate. So I'll play the White House's response. But I will first play, and I'm sorry, you guys can avert your eyes if you need to, but I'm gonna play the TikTok that this person first posted. And then and this was Rose Montoya. And then I'm gonna play Rose's response to the backlash. And Rose, from my understanding, has not responded from what I can find. I haven't found a tweet about since the White House came out and responded. There's a tweet that from the initial backlash from people, but not since the White House themselves have denounced it. But again, the White House is the one who invited these people.
Welcome to the White House.
Thank you.
Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Year. Happy Pride Life.
Yeah!
Transgender children.
You are beautiful.
You are heard.
You belong.
You are understood.
You are loved.
And you belong. Some of the bravest and most inspiring people I've ever known. And
you're welcome.
Good folks.
Can we take a little video? Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor. Trans rights are human rights. Oh, it's a video. Oh, it's a video.
The monument's in the back, right?
Gay news.
Are we topless at the White House?
So it's not just being he like shook his fake tits and stuff too. So not obviously not appropriate, and neither was being clothed and doing a little like hoochie dance either. And by the way, this is a person who still has his junk, and I won't show you the video why I know that. I will do you that honor that I was denied. But they still haven't like snipped the snip. So obviously there's outrage. There are people who took that photo of him holding the titties, and next to also people who have women who have double mastectomy scars, and have taken a tweet from Biden that said restoring dignity and honor, and or decency and honor, and they labeled one person decency and this person was honor. And I'm like, this needs to be like how people see Biden for the rest of forever going into 2024. Like, this needs to be the image, the legacy, or whatever. Again, I don't know if he'll end up being the nominee. We will see. I mean, track forward, it looks like we're having a rematch. Don't know for sure if it'll pan out that way, but as they're pursuing Trump's legal issues, and people are pursuing and digging into Biden's issues, people will drop whoever if they feel that they need to. So we will see. But this sort of image needs to be associated with Biden, and I think that's they don't want it to be, and that's why they actually made a statement. But I'm going to go ahead and play the response from Rose after there was the backlash in the commentary for them doing this at the White House. And this is the last that we've heard from Rose.
And that conservatives are trying to use the video of me topless at the White House to try to call the community groomers etc. And I would just like to say that, first of all, going topless in Washington, D.C. is legal. And I fully support the movement in freeing the nipple, because why is my chest now deemed inappropriate or illegal when I show it off? However, before coming out as trans, it was not. All you're doing is affirming that I am a woman. All you're doing is saying that trans women are women, because for some reason, people like to sexualize women's bodies and say that they are inappropriate. My trans masculine friends were showing off their top surgery scars and living in joy, and I wanted to join them. And because it is perfectly within the law in Washington, D.C., I decided to join them and cover my nipples just to play it safe, because I wanted to be fully free and myself. I had zero intention of trying to be vulgar or be profane in any way. I was simply living in joy, living my truth, and existing in my body. Happy Pride, free the nipple.
So this person is gaslighting the crap out of us. Unless they're to the point where they're so morally depraved that they think that if they're holding their titties and they're going like this, that is just like not to be profane or vulgar or anything like that. When you're at the White House, like common sense would tell you not to do that. But when we're in a society that is so morally depraved, I shared a video on TikTok, but also did a YouTube short. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and look at it after we're done. But Sunny from The View had a theory on why people from the trans community are being picked on if they're only like 1% of the population, and she quoted LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, and people thought it was so funny that she quoted him in a positive, as if she has like a positive outlook or something from him. And everybody was mentioning that she didn't quote him when he said the comment about I'll have these N words voting for Democrat the next 100 years or 200 years or whatever it was. But which there's some arguments on whether or not those statements, that particular quote is true, but he's made other statements that make it likely that it is. So I don't think anyone really disputes it, but she said something along the lines of I'm paraphrasing the quote, I guess just kind of telling the meaning of the quote, but something along the lines of, if you tell white people that there's someone lower than you, then they'll give you money and they'll support you. And which is funny because that was like really the Democrat kind of ideology. Like, you're our white trash, but at least you're better than a Negro. So that, I guess it's her ideology or her thinking of why people are picking on the trans people to make white people feel better about themselves. And I think it's so funny when they try to separate this stuff into categories of race and to point to the white people and be like, the white cis people are the problems. And I'm like, you don't feel like minorities don't like this kind of stuff at all? Like, you really, but it's, they don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit that. Like, I saw a video and someone was complaining about white evangelicals in a gay marriage, and I'm like, why are you only talking about white evangelical? Why do you separate it like that? You think there's different you know churches like in the hood, or might be a little different than a church in a rural area or something. Maybe not. But we're like looking at the same book and stuff. Like, some different denominations might teach a bit differently on theology, but most people believe the same stuff. So why are you like, if you have a problem with Christianity, to say you have a problem with Christianity and evangelicals and stuff, but why are you singling out white people when it's like black people who are more likely to go to church consistently, and in California, for example, overwhelmingly like voted down stuff like gay marriage? Like, why is it specifically that you want to pick on white people? Because you don't have the guts to mention the minorities. So you want to single them out and be like, this is the white people who have the bad ideas. So anyway, Sunny said that, but I'm like, that's not really the issue. The issue is is this. And so I played a video from a former KGB person who like specialized in propaganda, and he talked about how if we can demoralize our society, it can get to it's a perfect propaganda. And if you demoralize society beyond to a point where you can show them facts and people just won't accept it, because like I guess in the words of Thanos, reality can be whatever we make it or whatever. It's kind of like that. So, but he did this interview like a long time. It might have been the 70s or 80s or whatever. He's like, it's already too late for America, and like it must be really too late now. But you can find Yuri Bin's, I can't remember his last name, but if you go look for that video, I posted it. It's the last short that I posted from this moment anyway. If you go look it up as soon as we're done, I might post another short later, but if you find the one with Sunny, it starts with Sunny and then it goes to that one. So find the interview with Yuri. It's very interesting. But I think that's what's going on. We've gotten to a point where we're so demoralized as a society that people can't accept the truth, and their world, we don't have objective reality or objective facts, um objective morality. People reject that. It's not the truth. What do you hear people say? You hear them say my truth. It is my truth. Well, what's a woman? A woman is whoever identifies as a woman. That's crazy. If people can't agree on something as universal and timeless as what a man and a woman is, literally like been the fact of the beginning, then what can we agree on? What is real? What is true? So maybe this person is beyond the point of having any sort of morality, where they've just taken all the shame out of their mind and head or whatever, that they feel that it's okay to jiggle their fake tits at the White House. Okay. um but the idea, like, well, why are you sexualizing people's bodies? And it kind of seems like now you're saying that I'm a woman now. um People weren't okay with that guy from, was it Canada, who had the huge knockers, and he who was like the shop teacher, and people were saying that he was actually like not really trans, but he was doing it to like prove a point or something. I read some of the stories on it, but I don't know if I got to the full conclusion yet. But people, when there's trans, not even trans, but drag queens, when they have their fake tits, um we don't think those bouncing around in front of our children and stuff is appropriate either. So we're not admitting that you're a woman, but don't flash your on the White House. It's not appropriate. Nobody thinks you're a lady. Nobody thinks you're a lady. But it's just not appropriate. And the White House didn't think so either. Or at least they claim to not think so. So here's the White House's response.
On the exposure incident on the South Lawn, having received the statement that the White House believes that was inappropriate, disrespectful, is there going to be a greater effort in the future to communicate a code of conduct for White House guests?
Look, as you mentioned, the statement that we put out, you heard from us earlier today, the behavior was simply unacceptable. We've been very clear about that. It was unfair to the hundreds of attendees who were there to celebrate their families. So, we're going to continue to be clear on that. And that type of behavior is, as I said, unacceptable. It's not appropriate. It's disrespectful. And let's not, it really does not reflect the event that we hosted to celebrate the LGBTQ plus families. Again, hundreds of families who were here to celebrate their community and who were here in attendance. So, look, individuals in the video certainly will not be invited to future events, and this has not occurred before, right? This was not a normal thing that has happened under this administration, but we've been very clear about how we saw this particular behavior.
Oh, it's not normal. It's never happened before. Really? Because it's weird, but to say that this isn't something that they've ginned up, like they're not responsible for this sort of mentality where people think this is the sort of thing that's okay to do. They are the ones who invited drag queens to the White House not too long ago. And when we went through that story, we showed a bit of photos. I don't think I have any stored right here to show you, and probably for the better. But some of them, those drag queens, did not have appropriate things on their Instagram. But they're adult entertainers. This is a White House who complains about different administrations across the country saying, "Hey, we don't want these pornographic books in schools," and they're like, "How dare they ban materials?" Have you looked at these books? Like, if Biden is so okay with these books and so outraged that they're being outlawed or just being pushed away from kids' libraries or schools or whatever, then have the guts to invite your topless trans woman back and read have them read the books and see if it's sexual. See if this book is gay and sexual. But you don't have the guts and the courage to read that kind of stuff. You just want to complain like Republicans are a bunch of book banners. So don't claim that this is like, oh, this isn't what we stand for. It is what you stand for. It absolutely is what you stand for. You're flying a flag that is about who you like to sleep with. In the White House, like I read at the White House, at the same level of at the U.S. flags. That's what you're doing there, and also incorporating the transgender flag. It's the all-inclusive, hideous flag. It is a hideous looking flag. It is ugly. That's what they're doing. The White House, the Biden administration put out this document. We've talked about this many times before, but maybe you haven't seen it before. This is the gender affirming care for young people thing that the Biden administration put out about how you affirm. And by the way, they put this out like not this past Trans Visibility Day, but the other one, when Biden said, if you love your kids, that you'll affirm them. This is what they mean by affirmation. This is what they mean by affirmation. And it includes things like top surgery. That person was showing off their top surgery, and the person next to them was showing off how they got their breasts removed. This is what the White House supports. This is what the Biden administration supports and pushes and says, if you love your kids, that you will allow them to do this. This is who they are. Not just social affirmation, puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and gender affirming surgery. Removing your healthy organs. Like I know people are like really talking about the jiggly person there, but right next to her were women who chopped off their breasts in the pursuit of being a man. Something that can't even be obtained by them. If you have a daughter, you can never make them a son. You will just have a scarred daughter. But this is an interesting exchange with our health director from Rep. Jim Banks, about possibly denying funds to states and hospitals if they don't go along with the program.
This spring, HHS released a 112-page report claiming that gender affirmation, including social transition, changing one's name, pronoun, and/or appearance, is appropriate and beneficial for gender minority children and adolescents, according to this report. The report recommends cutting federal funds from states with, quote, policies that stigmatize transgender children, including by denying them access to medically necessary health care, end quote. Mr. Secretary, does this mean that HHS is seriously threatening to withhold hospital grants from states like my own if they refuse to go along with surgeries or puberty blockers for kids?
Congressman, we're going to protect the rights of any American to get the health care they're entitled to. And if someone tries to stop them from that, that's a violation of the law.
So you would withhold hospital grants from states like mine that ban transgender sex reassignment surgeries for minors? I mean, that's what the report says, clearly.
We will protect the rights of any individual to receive the health care they're entitled to, and we will take action against anyone who tries to discriminate.
So
So
he's talking about discrimination for getting healthcare. Healthcare is supposed to be restorative. So you are not entitled to go have your healthy breasts removed. You're not entitled to have your I was trying to think of a quippy thing to say for your for male genitalia, but to have that removed. um you don't have a right to that. And they shouldn't be threatening grants for hospitals if they say that they're not going to do that. What is wrong with your administration to the point where you want to hinder hospitals if they do not comply? It was bad enough that they were doing it with COVID, with healthcare workers, and the Supreme Court didn't really end up protecting healthcare professionals because it was tied with government money with the hospitals and stuff, with Medicaid, Medicare, whatever. But they're willing to do that to hospitals over not chopping off your daughter's breasts, for not giving them puberty blockers or whatever. Really? Some people have asked questions. I gotta write a post about this, or I might just write an article on my site about it, I guess. But they'll ask me, as a pro-life person, why don't I support child care, like government child care, and paid maternity leave, I guess, if the government has to fit the bill, and all, or even force companies to do it, and all kinds of different stuff, or universal health care and whatnot. Like, if you care, why don't you care about these things? And there's a lot of different reasons, but the one I think that's most important is, the more you involve the government in something, the more strings they can pull. If there's government strings attached, you are there at some point in time, they may make you their puppet. So hospitals being denied grants, obviously they think that can sway people into their ideology, or it's a threat that they wouldn't make. It's a threat they wouldn't make. And with COVID, they were like, well, these healthcare workers have to get the jab, or if they want to keep their job. Or there'd be government employees, they're like, well, you have to get the job if you want to keep your job. So you have to understand, the more indebted you are, the more your life is intermingled with the government, the more they're going to be able to make you comply. And if you think your bodily autonomy is going to stop them, you didn't live through the pandemic because they didn't care about your bodily autonomy. Biden will say, like, oh, Roe v. Wade overturned, this was women's rights, how dare they? When it comes to your Second Amendment rights, he says that there's no amendment in the Constitution that's absolute. That's a Biden quote. When it came to COVID, he said, this isn't about your personal freedom. That's what he said. So don't think at the end of the day that your bodily autonomy, the government cares so much about it that they're not going to overstep your rights at all. So once you tell them that your child does not have a right to life, doesn't have a right to be protected from violence, don't think that's because you're a woman and your bodily autonomy that they're not going to take you up on your offer one day. After you told them yourself that your child shouldn't be protected from violence. Never trust the government with that kind of power. With any kind of power. So yeah, I'm not for universal health care for various reasons, but the more power you give them, the more that they can do to you. The welfare state in America, minimum wage, that stuff was not designed to empower people, it was designed to control them. And I've gone through that before. I'm not going to go down a big rabbit hole today. But I don't trust them, and you shouldn't trust them either. But here they are threatening hospital grants. And they've already threatened like school lunch programs for schools who don't comply with the gender ideology stuff. And they're worse. If you're wondering why you haven't heard more in the news about it, they're worse schools. And I know particularly a Christian school that they went after, but they ended up fighting back, and the Biden administration just granted an exemption. But they will flex those muscles if they can. They certainly will. So why is it that they so badly want to push this ideology on people and hurt kids, hurt families? And I think there's plenty of activists who feel like this is the right thing to do and this is moral and whatnot. I don't think everyone is in their heart evil or aware that they're evil. That certainly what they're pushing for is evil. And I don't think everybody is in on the Marxist plot of demoralization and or of society. Um, but I do think that a lot of people have been conditioned by these people who are in on the plot for demoralization of society. And I've said this many times. I think the LGBT community, the things that they want bumps up against so many values and rights that we have in society that if they win and are elevated, it gets to crumble like different things like well, I guess free speech laws for one. If um if you have to obey like pronouns and other stuff like that, so that can deteriorate the First Amendment. But from a religious standpoint, like a freedom of religion, um association, um lots of things, it can end up deteriorating the more that they push. And I think it's a good way to look like they're protecting someone while really fighting an enemy. And if you push back, they just try to make you look like the bad guy. So anyway, the Biden administration push for this stuff. Oh gosh, I have another video to show you guys. Do you guys remember the monkeypox czar person that they had? I don't have of course there's the luggage guy, the Sam Britton guy who looks kind of like a bald Matt Damon, who kept stealing the women's luggage. So he was part of their administration, and of course, he got in trouble for the stealing the luggage, so he's no longer with the administration. But that person had red flags all over them, but they just saw it as being inclusive in a normal society that would like that. Prior to 2020, people would no way would have hired someone like him. But this is our monkeypox czar at some kind of conference out in Las Vegas. So why? Why? And that's his intro walking out. And I think it's like a biomedical conference. So I'm like, why? And this is someone who represents the government. And this is someone who the Biden administration has brought in, which by the way, our health secretary, he's not qualified for his job. His biggest claim to fame is that he sued the Trump administration that was protecting or representing the nuns over the Little Sisters of the Poor. So people were like, "Oh, he didn't sue the nuns." Yeah, but he sued the Trump administration who was like protecting the nuns. So ideologically he lined up, and of course the this assistant health secretary is Levine, who is a trans person. So them saying that the topless trans woman at the White House isn't a representation of them, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. I'm not saying that Biden wants, people to go topless on the front lawn or something, but it's a representation of what they've invited into the people's house and the policies that they push. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't invite adult entertainers and into the White House and think that there's all this honor and decorum and decency there. It was bad enough the people that Clinton was having, like and Epstein and those entanglements and the kind of things that he was doing behind closed doors, and there were whispers about that they claimed was a right-wing conspiracy theory, vast right-wing conspiracy theory that ended up being true, like interns and all that kind of stuff. It was bad enough that he was doing that. Um but he wouldn't, have that sort of stuff going on in the front lawn. And I'm not saying that the stuff that he did was better or anything. I'm just saying that people like to fake a funk. And Biden is his their administration has been really okay with letting their freak flags fly. And they were probably like, that was a little too far, so we better make a statement about it. But that's the stuff that they support, and that's the stuff that they've facilitated, definitely. So they can try not to own it. But that's the biggest push of their administration. The biggest push of their administration. That is a top priority for them. An endless top priority for them. And it was a big priority for Obama too. There's plenty of like black voters who voted for Obama. I was not one of them. I never voted for Obama. Not that I'm proud that I voted for McCain, but or Romney, but I didn't vote for Obama. But there's plenty of black people who voted for Obama who said and spoke like they felt like he did more for the LGBT community than he did for black people. And not that the president should particularly do anything for any kind of community, he should just do things for all Americans. But people took notice. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Went a little long today, but hopefully it was all good. If you like what I do here, please consider going to blacktnews.com. Check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. Check out different merch that I have. Like I mentioned at the top of the hour, I saw people were getting the I don't have a picture of it right now, but it's the maybe I can pull it up while I'm talking to you. This is my pride shirt, and it has this is my pride flag, and it's a picture of the American flag. So I'm trying to pull it up, going to my website, going to my merchandise page. But yeah, check out the website. Make sure that you guys are, leaving your email. Sorry about that. Internet went screwy for a second. I have please go ahead and put your email into the website. Make sure that you guys are following me across different platforms. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, there should be links to basically everything. So make sure that you take the time and that you go follow on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. If you have accounts there, especially on Rumble as well. I didn't have a lot of people following me on Rumble, and I don't post there a lot yet, but if something goes down on YouTube or something, that would there and Twitter, I guess, would be the places I guess I'd really have to put pick up that slack there. But you guys got to follow. So let's make sure that we don't lose each other. But if you like what I do here, you can leave a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Cost of stream on my website, all the good stuff. So if you can support, thank you very much. And I thank you guys for watching live, watching back later. You guys really, some of you are in here every day. It's very much appreciated. And then I see my sister always talks about how like someone new would jump into the chat and you guys are like, welcome, and you guys start conversation. So it's really cool. I know I don't always like reply to every comment, but I am trying to look and see what you guys are saying, what you guys are writing, without kind of losing my spot or losing my thought. But I do thank you guys for commenting, because that does help find other people find the show, the live. So I do appreciate it. I did find my page, so I'm going to share my screen really quick. So this is my, if you haven't been to the website, this is my merchandise page. So sometimes I'll say like, so my little teacup. If you go to the merchandise page, you see here my banner here with my books on it. some of them, some of my published books. I guess I need to update that banner. That'll take you over to my book website, ninjadustpublishing.com, and then you'll be able to see all my books there. But I have a lot of fiction books and stuff, but that banner is always there at the top of the site. So it's a clickable link there. And the Poetry's Menace Us, Life Wins shirt. I got those in a couple different cuts. Row Casey aborted. So there it is. This is my pride flag. So I got that in different colors. I'm about to actually order that for myself, but I think I'm going to do this color, this navy here. I got it in black and blue and pink and yellow and white. So that's one of the many things on my website you guys can check out. Also got the XX Club. I do have that shirt as well. Lifetime membership. Got it in a hoodie. The hoodies are really comfortable. Crop hoodie, shirt, dress, XX woman, kind of reminiscent of X-Men. And Trump make crack whack again shirt. The Free Canada shirt for my Canadians out there. I made that during the whole trucker situation. One has it on the sides and the other one doesn't. And I got those in tees. Be better, not better. I got that shirt. Gonna totally rock this one on 4th of July. So I'm not the victim you're looking for. So anyway, check out the different stuff at the website. And that's a good way to support what we got going on at Black Tea News. But of course, if you guys want to just support directly, you can go to the site and donate. But thank you guys for all that you do, for the faithfulness, and appreciate you. Someone did ask what brand of lipstick I wear, and I don't always wear the same one, but I have this particular shade I've been wearing for a while. So this one is Revlon, and I don't remember more than that, but this is a Revlon brand that I'm wearing right now. But I have worn other ones, but this is the one I've been wearing as of late. So I'm a creature of habit. When one kind of goes out, it's like, oh, let me go get another one. So yeah, I'm not but one day perhaps I'll have like me and my sister talk about, well, I guess she mostly suggests or whatever, like having a Republican red or something, different brands myself. So perhaps one day we'll get there. But thank you guys. And oh, still in the chat. So yeah, glad I could help with that. But thank you guys for watching, and I should see you guys tomorrow. Fair warning, last week there was some scuffles last week with some of the recording, and when I went live, because there's some work being done around my house, there's supposed to be some more tomorrow. It should be done, I guess, before I go live, so I'm not anticipating hiccups for when I start. But I just want to let you know that there is a possibility. So just FYI, if it's a little late tomorrow, or if I have to push it to like 5 or something, but I should be there at 4. But just make sure that you guys hit the notification bell, and you should get notifications. At least that's how it's supposed to work. I don't know if YouTube is always good with that, but like when you subscribe, there's also the notification bell. I don't know why they make you do the 2 extra steps, the extra step or whatever, because if someone subscribes, you think that you'd want to watch the content. I couldn't find one person the other day that I was subscribed to. And I knew they posted videos. I'm like, why does YouTube do this? I subscribed. I should be able to find the person that I subscribed to. But make sure you hit the notification bell. God bless you guys, and I'll